This week I'm thankful for roads. Uh, it's kind of funny that my Minecraft world is named Roman Empire, and I haven't actually done the episode on roads until now, but hey, you know what? Better late than never, right? To give you a little bit of context, I'm just going to be traveling back and forth in my Minecraft world. I just disassembled a nether portal that was from a very long time ago, and long story short, I'm a little dumb, so I switched the first and last coordinates when I was making a road in the Nether, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pop out at the Nether portal I made, and instead it spit me out at a cave. So I'm just coming from that cave basically. But now that I have diamond armor instead of really trash armor, I didn't die this time. 'Cause last time I straight up died in that cave, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going back there for quite a while. But anyways, I digress. But that's why I'm here doing this. But we're meant to be talking about roads because we're in Rome, and all roads lead back to Rome. So I'm thankful for roads, not just in my Minecraft world. I mean, obviously they're very nice in a Minecraft world. Oh, but couldn't you use the Elytra? Well, this is my mega build. My mega build it basically is my road network. That's what I want to do. If you don't like it, too bad. Okay, but seriously, in real life, roads are very useful. I mean, roads are, I don't even know how old roads are. They're basically as old as civilization itself, as far as I know. I mean, yes, of course, the Romans used roads. Duh, that's why I named the world this. But, you know, I roads have been around for a long time. They're basically just to get you to point from point A to point B. Well, what's the point of roads, you know? Why not just like settle in the place that you need the resources? Well, sometimes sometimes you need to go somewhere because oh, well, you know, we grow food over here, but then you go, okay, we grow food here, but we want this other resource that makes our life way easier. And of course, it's not here where we grow food. So let's make a road between there so that, you know, in the older days, I mean, you could walk. It'd be rough, but you know, you could walk a pretty long ways, or you could take later horses and then horses with carriages. Um, that was a very that was definitely a game changer when humanity figured out how to tame horses, as then we could utilize things like roads a lot better. And part of the reason for having roads too is it's just like, hey, where is it? Oh, it's over there, and da da da, you know. And instead of just using landmarks, you could just straight up follow the road all the way somewhere, and it'd be a lot easier to navigate. Of course, in the modern world, which is, you know, I mean, I like putting a little bit of history in these videos, but as far as I'm concerned, for the modern world, roads are pretty useful, just, you know, purely for the fact, I mean, last week I was talking about trains, and the week before that, oil. You know, we use roads to transport so many things. I mean, yes, obviously trains move a lot, but you still need roads because not everywhere is served by rail, and it's not practical to serve every location by rail either. Sometimes it is just easier to say, okay, you know, we have this basically transloading facility, which is where you load stuff between rail cars and trucks or vice versa. Okay, you know, we got this facility here. There's a town a few hours away, but it's literally over a mountain pass. We're not building a railroad just to serve that little town if they only need one trailer a day. We're just going to have the truck go do that, and, you know, it can navigate this road a lot easier than the train would. And basically, what I'm saying is, like, roads are necessary for serving a lot of out of the way or weird places. And think about it, I love trains, don't get me wrong, but I'm aware of the fact that they got some limitations, and not everything can practically be served by them. That's why you need roads. Um, and of course, there's many different road types over the years. There's, it started out with dirt roads, just basically stomp down the dirt in this path. Here you go. Then there's like old cobblestone roads, which are pretty cool. I guess those would be somewhat durable, maybe not underneath today's vehicles driving on them. That's why you have asphalt and concrete now. And then, of course, concrete roads are more expensive, but they last longer versus asphalt roads, and yada yada yada. I could go on, honestly. I really could, but um, I don't need to yap too terribly much about that. But anyways, don't mind me just casually throwing all my stuff around in here because I gotta sort. I'm a little bit ridiculous when it comes to sorting my stuff, and if you haven't noticed, I have a chest for like practically everything. Why is that there? What idiot made this thing? Sir, you did. Ah, fair enough. If you know what that reference is, good job. Now, anyways, as I was saying about roads, there's several different materials that you can make roads out of. Some are more durable than others. And then obviously, when it comes to road construction, you got to consider things like, does it make sense to build a road here, is it actually viable? Do we need to build a bunch of bridges? This, that, and the other. Because it's not just as simple as Minecraft where I can just, tunnel where I need to, bridge where I need to, and that's it. In real life, there's a lot more constraints to building roads than there are in in a video game. There's a lot more to consider, like way more to consider. Um, okay, why are you there? All right, there we go. I don't want to get too distracted as I'm sorting, but honestly, it's hard to like really play and actually commentate at the same time. Once again, Technoblade is the GOAT because he makes the stuff look easy when it's really not that easy. Um, and anyways, when you're doing road construction, there's a whole lot of things you have to consider. Like railroads, you don't want to make it too steep. I mean, you can get away with it being a lot steeper on roads than you can with railroads. If a railroad is more than about 2.2%, it gets to be pretty bad. They've actually reconstructed a lot of rail lines over the years that exceed that because it just gets to be too much, and you wind up having kind of a mess of things. But even with roads, if you make them too steep, then the semi trying to climb that hill is not going to make it up. I'm not sure what the maximum gradient for roads should be practically, but I've seen a lot of the 7 or 8% grades tend to be pretty steep on roads, and you don't want to get it too much more than that. So that's probably about what it comes out to, if I had to take a guess. But I'm just some guy who plays Minecraft, so please do your own research and don't just take everything I say for fact or law, because that's not how this works. That's not how this works. I'm just some guy BSing on the internet because I'm using my free will to do so. Oh, I really... Okay, apparently I can't tell things apart. Maybe I am colorblind. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, there's a lot of uses for roads, and actually to give you a to give you an idea, how well they can get you around. Yes, this is called thumbnail plane because this is where I do a lot of the thumbnail art. It's like one of the main reasons I go that way. Then of course we got Rome, then the road up north, and actually I just came from basically right about where this map is. Anyways, I've got a lot of blocks of road in this world, and you know, it helps me get around, and like in real life, you know, that type of stuff will help you get around really well. In order to get things from one place to another is basically why you construct them. Now, of course, there's questions of like, should we build roads everywhere? And some people have actually argued that building roads everywhere is sort of not necessarily the best thing, and the really weird argument for it basically goes something like, well, in the old days, you could kind of just travel wherever you needed to. That is a trippy view. Let me not be so close to my face. If you build this road in some place, it'll limit what people can do, but it, I don't think so. Not necessarily. Now, there is a caveat, which is that at least in America, if you're going to be on the road, you know, there's not some roads have a decent shoulder on them, so in theory you could walk or bike along them, but it's kind of socially taboo, and it's also not really practical or safe either in a lot of places. Um, there's a whole bunch of videos about how like the U.S. is not walkable and like Europe is and all this, and I kind of see it to a point. But the main thing that can be, this is maybe the one downside of roads, is that if you're going to drive on them, well, you got to be able to afford a vehicle, the gas that goes in that vehicle, and the insurance for that vehicle. And that can get to be a little bit. And, that can eat up quite a bit of your cost of living, depending on where you're at, what kind of vehicle you're driving. If you buy a used vehicle, you just have to have liability. It's pretty cheap. But, if you're buying a new vehicle, you have to get full coverage. And you're making car payments every month. So it winds up being a little bit to deal with, obviously. Now, that being said, I'm glad that there are roads. I'm able to travel to and from where my parents live, and it's very convenient. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, and I'm actually able to, do things with my family as a result of that. And if there weren't roads all over the place back and forth, I just wouldn't be able to do that at all. Um, how's that? Okay, I don't know how that's not done yet, but anyway, I'm personally thankful for having roads. It just, especially for the area that I live in, there's some towns are not super close here, and thankfully I don't live in like a huge city per se. Um, but I mean, it's a little bit of a drive across town where I'm at. But again, not terrible. If I had to bike or walk, I probably could around this town. It's not huge. But again, it is just nicer to drive, especially when it's starting to get hot out like it is now. Um, it's yeah, it's warm. It's getting into the 80s and 90s, and sure, I could I could bike or walk through that if I had to, but sometimes AC is just glorious. Oh, that's funky. Sometimes I forget that I build the things I do in this world. I also get distracted easily if you couldn't tell. It's like my signature thing. That's how you know I'm not AI, is I just get distracted every 5 seconds. Well, okay, maybe I could be AI, but like, come on. Do I really seem like I'm AI? By the way, if you actually paid attention this long, comment this guy is not AI in the comments. You gotta boost my engagement so I can get more than like 50 views. By the way, thank you for 50 views. That's pretty on my last video. That was pretty great. But anyways, I don't want to ramble on too long because I feel like I'm repeating myself now. So I do want to say thank you for watching. Tell me what you're thankful for in the comments this week. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not 100% sure what my next video is going to be on. It might be on something a little bit different than modern technology. Might have more to do with like someone I'm thankful for, or just some random, I don't know, it could be like a philosophical video too. I don't know yet. I'll figure it out. But anyways, I just wanted to say once again, thank you for watching. Stay thankful.